The Acceleration Freeze of Nick Fuentes, Part 4, Head-on Refutation and the Pathology of Closed Reasoning. On intimidation, critical thought, and the self-sealing logic of cultic narratives. Take the argument apart. Asking questions is not immunity from criticism. A belief that cannot be falsified is not inquiry. For prolonged periods, public actors avoid direct refutation, not because counter-arguments are unvaluable, but because confrontation is costly. Fear of backlash, dogpiling, and reputational contagion produces strategic silence, which is then misread as concession. Avoidance sustains the very narrative it seeks to outlast. When intimidation becomes ambient, the absence of rebuttal is weaponized. Claims harden into common sense by default, not by merit. The long the delay, the higher the perceived legitimacy of claim. Moral appeals, grief, status, vulnerability cannot substitute for argument. They may explain why someone speaks, but they do not validate what is said. Conflating sympathy with correctness collapses critical standards. Head-on engagement requires separating persons from propositions. Protecting people does not require protecting claims from scrutiny. Many participants default to heuristic reasoning, pattern matching events to prior narratives rather than evaluating evidence anew. Their approach favors familiarity over accuracy and speed over rigor. Critical thinking demands analytic friction, testing assumptions, weighing alternatives, and tolerating uncertainty. Where this capacity is weak, narrative becomes immune to correction. Closed systems reduce the world to two options: agreement or betrayal. Disagreement is reframed as allegiance to an enemy, eliminating the middle ground of independent judgment. I'm reading The Acceleration Freeze of Nick Fuentes. Right now we're reading The False Binary. Such binaries are efficient for mobilization, but destructive for truth. They convert critique into treason, evidence into propaganda. Self-sealing logic absorbs all outcomes as confirmation. If a claim is supported, it proves itself. If it is disproved, the disproof is reclassified as evidence of suppression. In this loop, error strengthens belief. Correction becomes persecution, and skepticism becomes complicity. A theory that explains both success and failure without revision explains nothing. Inquiry requires criteria for being wrong. When no conceivable evidence could discomfort and disconfirm a claim, the claim exits the realm of investigation and enters ideology. Unfalsifiable narratives demand allegiance, not assessment. They replace method with mood. Technical disputes must be adjudicated by method, not posture. Assertions about probability require calculations, models, or experiments, not rhetorical escalations. When non-experts pronounce certainty and later revise to improbability without accounting, credibility erodes. Learning requires acknowledgement, not rebranding. Direct, testable evidence outranks circumstantial impressions. Expert testimony outranks intuition. Consistency outranks improvisation. Violating the hierarchy produces narrative noise. Symbolism, coincidence, and vibes are not substitutes for proof. They are prompts for hypotheses, not conclusions. In adversarial ecosystems, rebuttal can be misread as validation, feeding the cycle it seeks to end. This risk tempts institutions into silence, which in turn feeds the same cycle. Breaking the loop requires structured refutation, enumerated claims, present evidence, defined standards, and repeat without personalization. Siege mentality deputizes followers as enforcers. Dissenters are cast as infiltrators. Outsiders are presumed hostile, insiders are presumed virtuous. This dynamic is spiritually corrosive. It rewards certainty over humility and loyalty over truth. Accusations of bad faith often mirror internal insecurity. When identity is bound to belief, criticism threatens selfhood, provoking defensive escalation. Projection converts debate into diagnosis and disagreement into defamation. Effective confrontation targets claims, not character. It is precise, evidence-driven, and consistent. It refuses the false binary and insists on standards. Calling out errors is not cruelty, it is maintenance of the commons. The goal is containment of falsehood, not humiliation. Credibility is cumulative and fragile. Reckless claims spend it, disciplined correction earns it. Future accountability depends on present rigor. When real conspiracies arise, only those who practice restraint will be believed. Movements that cannot tolerate correction dissolves into echo chambers. Echo chambers cannot discover truth, they can only amplify conviction. The final axiom stands. Reason survives only where claims can lose. Without that possibility, discourse collapses into ritual. Name the names. Follow the money. If everything is an operation, nothing can be examined. When media ownership and consolidations are framed as totalizing plots rather than regulating market processes, spectacle displaces structure. Complex transactions, mergers, financial vehicles, antitrust reviews are reduced to melodrama because melodrama converts attention into loyalty faster than analysis converts facts into understanding. The more opaque the corporate machinery, the more tempting it becomes to narrate power as personal, unified, and intentional. This temptation does not clarify capitalism, it mythologizes it. Attributing systemic outcomes to monolithic identities substitutes anthropology for economics. It replaces institutional explanation with essentialist shorthand, which feels decisive but explains nothing. Identity substitution is rhetorically efficient. It collapses dispersed incentives, legal constraints, and market dynamics into a single agent that can be praised, blamed, or hated without remainder. Media power is real, but it is fragmented, competitive, and constrained by regulations, capital costs, audience behavior, and platform architectures. Treating it as a singular and omnipotent, ignore how often media actors fail, misjudge audiences, or are disciplined by markets. A critique that cannot distinguish ownership, editorial control, distribution, and audience capture is not a critique of media. It is a performance about media. Follow the money. Follow the money becomes fallacious when it stops at association rather than tracing causation. Capital flows explain incentives only when paired with governance, contracts, and constraints. Money indicates capacity, not coordination. Capacity without proof of coordination is conjecture, not evidence. Outrage monetizes more reliably than nuance. Platforms reward certainty, repetition, and escalation. They penalize revision, caveats, and procedural details. When creators align claims to platform incentives, narratives, extremities become a business model. Accuracy then competes with engagement and often loses. Simplified reveals promise cognitive relief. The world becomes legible through a single key. Such pedagogy produces conviction without competence. Teaching that complexity is deception trains audiences to distrust expertise while overtrusting the narrator. personalizing systemic critique around a charismatic narrator converts analysis into loyalty. Disagreement becomes betrayal, correction becomes censorship. Heroic self-positioning crowds out verification. The story must continue because the role must be maintained. Antagonistic frames, us versus a unified them, reduces error correction. They pre-commit conclusions and backfill reasons. Such frames immunize claims against refutation. Counter-evidence is reclassified as proof of the plot. Media consolidation is constrained by antitrust laws, regulatory approval, debt markets, and shareholder risks. These fictions matter more than insinuate omnipotence. Ignoring regulatory process does not expose hidden power, it obscures visible constraints. Ownership does not equal omniscience, editorial command. Newsrooms operate through layers of management, professional norms, advertiser risk, and audience metrics. Claims of instantaneous ideological capture requires evidence of policy changes, staffing directives, and content shifts, not inference from ownership alone. Conflating critique of states, firms, and ideologies with claims about entire peoples collapse distinction that analysis depends upon. Precision is not politeness, it is method. Where conflation reigns, accountability dissolves. Extraordinary coordination claims demand contemporaneous documents, corroborated testimonies, or replicable patterns across independent outlets. Narratives built on vibes, coincidence, or selective anecdotes are unfalsifiable by design. Endless teasers, the final practice, the next reveal. Sustain engagement by deferring closure. Closure would end the revenue stream. When the promise of revelation becomes perpetual, the investigation has become content. Indiscriminate conspiracy rhetoric degrades the credibility of legitimate media criticism. It arms defenders of consolidation with the easiest rebuttal, dismissal. Precision is the ally of reform, excess is its enemy. A rigorous critique of media power analyzes ownership structures, financing terms, regulating pathways and editorial governance, audience economics, and measurable content changes. It names institutions, documents, mechanisms, tests claims against counterexamples, and revises when wrong. All right, that's the end of part 4. The accelerated freeze of Nick Fuentes. I'll see you guys later.